Good morning and welcome to our 189th weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. So the way this call works is this is a 2-hour AMA call, kind of like on Reddit, Ask Me Anything. You can ask me business questions, investment questions, finance questions, career questions, personal questions, anything you want to. And the goal here is for me to humbly help you take your career or your company to the next level. Now, I finally recovered from COVID. I feel amazing. Thank you, everybody, for your well wishes over the past couple of weeks. It was absolutely brutal, but I feel great. And what helped a lot was drinking 2 of these every day. That's water with a lot of vitamin C in it. All right. Now, let me tell you how everybody here can get 5 of my top selling courses for only 99 cents. And one of the 5 courses I'm including is a new course of mine called Sales 101, How to Sell Anything. And you get a free 200 plus page book I created for you in this package of 5 courses. So here's what you do. And this is something brand new I'm doing here. I'm really excited about it. All right. So what you do is you go to you go to my YouTube page and you click join right here. And when you click join, what happens is it gives you 3 options, okay? One of them is 5 free courses and more, okay? And this is for 99 cents per month. And basically the way it works is you also get loyalty badges with your name in it. So when you ask questions, if you've been a member for a month, you use this trophy icon, 2 months this one, 3 months this one, 4, 5, 6, etc. Rinse, lather, repeat. Also, there are custom emojis that you can use. And here are the 5 courses. All right. So the first course is an entire MBA in one course. And this is my flagship course that sold 500,000 copies over the past couple of years. It's been a game changer humbly for me, and it's one of the many reasons I do what I do. I have more than 1.5 million students from every country in the world. You all inspire me so much, and I'm so blessed and honored that I get to do this every single week with you. The next one is my complete job course where I teach you how to get your dream job. And it's based on my experience coaching people over many, many years, decades actually, to get the job of their dreams. Then I've got a new course of mine called Sales 101, How to Sell Anything. And you get this book in it as well. Okay, it's part of the course. And when you buy these courses, it goes right to my website. You can watch the videos there. Then I've got another one called the Complete Personal Finance course, which is crucially important at this point in the economic cycle, where I teach you how to invest and save in a recessionary environment and how to grow your net worth and protect your money. And the last one is called the Complete YouTube course. And I made this course with one of my weekly viewers. Her name is Sasha Stevenson. She was on my 10th or so webcast. We're on 189 now. I'm getting older. You can see I'm getting older, man. It's all good, though. The older I get, the better I was. And Sasha Stevenson has over 100 million views on her YouTube channels. So it's called the Complete YouTube course. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where you can create the product for next to nothing. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where you can get automatic access to billions of potential customers for free. And so I urge all of you to start to YouTube. We explain how to do this in my course. I explain this stuff in much more detail, much more updated as well in my MBA degree program. Okay, and I think we're all going to look back years from now and say, I wish I made more YouTube content. It's like a little coffee franchise, each little video. All right, so that's the 99 cents per month one. Okay, here. Next up, I have this one, which is $29.99 per month, which is everything you get in this first package, plus you get all 25 of my courses and all of my future courses for free as long as you're subscribing there. The last category is right here, and this is $99 per month, and this here is my Haroun MBA degree program. So you get everything in the first 2 buckets here, plus you get my Haroun MBA degree program as well, the silver version, on-demand version. And there are many other benefits for this SKU as well. Members-only live streams, network with MBA students from all over the world. You get exclusive members-only videos. And then I also expose your business model and help you live here on YouTube. So if anybody has questions about that, please let me know. Again, to get the 5 courses, you click here to join for 99 cents per month. One more thing. one person on this call this week is going to win my on-demand MBA degree program. You'll get it for free. It sells for $999 usually, although I do have it on sale if you go to my website, which is, hold on a second here, which is harounmba.com. Okay, I'll show you. So if you go to harounmba.com, what I'll be doing is I'll be giving away the silver version of my MBA program, this guy here. Okay, and if anybody has questions about the gold or platinum ones, let me know as well. I don't know why that image is not showing up there, but all good. All right, and the way to win the silver MBA program is by asking a question. Okay, so I'll select one person randomly and ask a question later today, and that person will win. And if you've already bought the silver, gold, or platinum, please don't ask a question, because I want to bring new people into the mix, into the Haroun Education Ventures family. Thank you. Ooh, that was a long intro. All right, let me get to your questions, the reason we're here. Okay. All right. First up, I've got Solomon, who says, hello, Chris. How are you doing? I'm perfect now. Thank God that COVID thing is gone. And I had pneumonia after COVID as well, but I'm good to go. I'm excited for the webcast to see the 5-course offer. Thank you. If anybody has questions, of course, let me know. Thank you. Next up, Shailesh wrote, hello, Chris. I hope all is well. I'm interested to have the 5 best courses for 99 cents. Thank you. And this is something brand new I'm doing. So I don't know if I'll leave that at 99 cents forever or just a short amount of time. Yeah, something I'm testing out. But if I do take it down to the 99 cent offer, you still get those 5 courses. You'll get to keep them. Yeah. All right, Patricia from the wonderful state of New Jersey. And she is in my Platinum MBA degree program. How are you? Good morning as well. Moving on to Mike Flynn, who's also in my MBA program, wrote, hi, Chris. I read the Ethereum is upgrading its current consensus algorithm from proof of work to proof of state. It's set to happen this August. Can you please explain what this means? Yeah, basically it means you won't be able to mine it anymore the way that people mine it today. And so I stopped mining Ethereum recently because this algorithm changed. Now, Ethereum is still one of the 4 cryptocurrencies that I own, and I publicly disclosed for many years which 4 I've owned. I've owned them for years. I own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. Now, what I love about Ethereum is that it's a platform, okay? But I like it a little bit less now as I do more research on it. So, but I still own it. Ethereum is a platform. So what happens is when new cryptocurrencies go public, so to speak, meaning an ICO versus an IPO, most of the time they're done on the Ethereum platform. Also, most NFTs are created on the Ethereum platform as well. And if you have more questions about this or any topics really, go to my website and you can always do a search for anything up here, Ethereum, or you can do a search on ICO, or you do a search on SPACs as well, because a couple of months ago, and I've indexed all 10,000 or so of my questions I've answered over the years. I explain everything here. So here's a YouTube video on should you buy SPACs or IPOs, what you need to know about investing. If you have questions about that, as always, please let me know. And thank you very much, Mike, for the question. Good to see you as well. All right, next up, I've got Patricia, who wrote, is Bitcoin more of a speculative investment rather than being a currency? Is it a deflationary currency? Yeah, I hate to say this, and I hate to sound like a lawyer, but it depends. What's happening right now is the perfect storm for cryptocurrencies because you've got Russia driving up the price of oil, and so it's more expensive for people to mine cryptocurrencies. Also, electricity, obviously, is a big input there. And you want to look at kilowatts per hour. And I explain that in more detail in my MBA degree program. Also, what's happened is a lot of countries are moving towards the left now. And it's problematic, and it's something I've been talking about in my webcast since COVID became a global pandemic in early 2020. So a lot of countries are moving to the left. They're becoming, unfortunately, more socialist, more communist in many cases as well. And what that means for cryptocurrencies is this. Governments like control, and they hate giving up control of their own currency, because if you start using cryptocurrencies in mass, in size, instead of using your own currency, then what happens is governments cannot manipulate the value of their currency, meaning raising or decreasing interest rates. And they can't defend themselves as well by issuing bonds. So a lot of countries have made cryptocurrencies illegal as well. I think the best thing that can happen with cryptos is some sort of loose regulation by governments. And I say that because if cryptos are slightly regulated, then it basically is a signal. Two things. Number one, people won't get scammed as much. And number two, more importantly, or just as important, I should say, what happens is they're signaling to the marketplace they're not going to make cryptos illegal. Now, when you invest in stocks or any asset class, you have the right usually to get an investment offering memorandum. And I go through the IPO of Facebook in a lot of detail in my MBA degree program. But before you go public on most major exchanges, what you have to do is you have to get lawyers and investment bankers, sorry. I've used that before. Awful joke. I won't do it again, I promise, today. But investment bankers, before a company goes public, they create an investment offering memorandum. Okay, and it's written by lawyers as well, like I mentioned, and all the risks are included here. So before you invested in Facebook, you got to read this. It's called an S1. You can get these from sec.gov. Please never invest in an IPO without reading these things first. Now, with all investment classes, you should get an investment offering memorandum. If your friend asks you to invest in their company, which I don't think you should do because people change when it comes to money. I've made my friends a lot of money, and one in particular lost money. We're no longer friends. Sucks. But if your friend asks you to invest in their company, two things. Number one, ask for an investment offering memorandum. And number two, ask yourself this. Why am I so lucky to be given this opportunity? So if cryptocurrencies have some sort of loose regulation where it's more than just a white paper, but some sort of government mandated filing, then fewer people would get scammed. And a lot of people get scammed. Do a search on my YouTube page on cryptocurrency scammer. I caught one not too long ago. All right. Next up, we have got Kevin, who wrote, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Great to see you, Kevin. Kevin's in my MBA program as well. Hope you're doing well. Moving on to Victor, who wrote, Victor wrote, do you think it's a good opportunity to buy stocks and cryptocurrencies now or mine cryptocurrencies now? Yeah, let me answer that in reverse order. So in terms of mining, as long as the cost of electricity hasn't gone up materially where you live, it might make sense. A nice number to use for deciding if you should mine is if the cost per kilowatt hour where you live is 10 cents or less. Right here, it's much, much higher than that, and it's going higher as well. Right? These are interesting times. It's inflationary, which is counterintuitive for cryptos. You'd think cryptos might do well because Bitcoin's supposed to be digital gold. It's not. Okay. Now, in terms of cryptos that you might want to invest in, if you take my cryptocurrency course or my MBA degree program, I give you a 49-step, my MBA program has a more updated version, 49-step outline on how to create one of these things, right, for a cryptocurrency. So I want you to do your own research. But I usually like to buy stocks and cryptos when everybody else is selling. You know, as Warren Buffett said, you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and you want to be fearful when others are greedy as well. If you buy the same stocks or cryptocurrencies that everybody loves and everybody owns already, then there are not that many incremental investors to buy and push it higher. So be a contrarian. Now, when you analyze stocks and cryptocurrencies, you can use technical analysis if you want to decide when to start a position. But I want you to do that only after you do deep fundamental due diligence and valuation-based due diligence. In my MBA program, I provide you with a ton of tools or arrows in your quiver so that you can use any framework to look to decide to invest in a company or not. So if you want to screen companies to start buying today, and I don't think it's a bad idea to start buying a little bit today, just given the market's oversold. What I would do is I would screen, first of all, for the RSI. And the RSI is the relative strength index. And any stocks that you notice that have an RSI reading of 20, meaning oversold, and you can always go to my website, search for RSI. I did a video on it recently. But any company you see that has an RSI of 20 or below, meaning it's massively oversold, then what I want you to do is roll up your sleeves, do work on the fundamentals and valuation of the company, and then decide to buy. And if it's massively oversold, then it might be a great investment at this point in time, because some of my favorite investments are the ones where they're broken stocks but not broken companies. What does that mean? Well, if you look at a chart of a stock, right, and it feels like you're catching a falling knife, that's a broken chart, okay, meaning it broke moving averages like the 50, 200-day moving average, etc. But make sure it's not a broken company. Do your fundamental research and valuation-based research as well. Okay. All right. And you also want to look at insider buying and selling from big companies. Now, there's a wonderful mutual fund that one of my best friends works at here in the Bay Area called Fuller and Taylor. And Dick Fuller and Richard Taylor, one of them won a Nobel Prize in Finance recently because they did a big analysis on behavioral finance. What does that mean? Well, behavioral finance means if you see massive insider selling or buying of a stock, then you can use that as part of your fundamental research process to decide whether or not to buy a stock. Now, when I worked in the hedge fund industry for many years, I remember I met with Bobby Kotick a lot, and he was the CEO, founder of Activision. And whenever Bobby would sell a lot of shares in Activision, the stock would do terrible, usually in the 12 months after that. But whenever he bought shares in ticker ATBI, the stock would usually do extraordinarily well for the 12 months after that as well. It doesn't work in all cases. If you see that a CEO or founder of a company or executive is selling shares slowly over time, like a 10b5, like Mark Benioff has done for decades, or since Salesforce went public in the fall of 2004. If you see that happening a lot, like little sales, don't let that deter you. Those are planned sales because these founders have a massive percent of their liquid net worth in these companies. But what you want to look for is you want to look at sizable insider buying and selling. And the best example of this is Tesla. So if you go back to March of 2020, when the VIX was over 80, meaning there's a lot of fear in the market, and everybody was selling stocks. In March of 2020, Elon Musk bought a ton of shares in Tesla, and he made a fortune as well because he sold those shares last November or so in size. Okay, and we never know what Elon's thinking. He's always a couple steps ahead of us from a game theory perspective. The market peaked in early January of this year, but he timed it pretty damn well. And he's very successful because he's unemotional. And I really do believe that you got to be kind of like Marty Byrde from the Ozarks. I don't know if you guys watch that show, great show. Meaning you got to be really unemotional about business. Otherwise, what happens is you sell stocks at the worst time. And we know that great quote from Warren Buffett, which is, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. Selling something you love because it's cheaper. Doesn't make any sense. So start rolling up your sleeves and doing work on individual stocks. Now, the time to buy riskier stocks in size, and it's not that time yet, but the time to buy tons of riskier stocks through ETFs or whatever, small cap tech stocks and biotechs, it's when the VIX is above 70 or 80. And it happens maybe once a decade or so. It happened in the fall of 2008 when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working. It also happened again in March of 2020. VIX hit an all-time high. And people were really emotional at that time. You know, Elon Musk obviously did the opposite. But I remember it was either March or April 2020 when the price of oil, the futures price of oil, went to negative $20 or so. Crazy. People were so emotional. And in investing, you got to remember that things are never as bad as they seem, but also things are never as good as they seem. And a very unemotional portfolio manager I worked for at Citadel years ago taught me that. Smart guy. Okay, Citadel's a hedge fund, which is moving from Chicago to Florida, just like Caterpillar is. Yeah. Or Caterpillar actually is moving to Texas. All right. Okay. Next up, Patricia said, I'm more of a savings, bonds, equities type investor. Yeah. And generally speaking, there's two classes of investors. There's value investors and there's growth investors. Value investors are like Warren Buffett. They like to buy stuff when it's cheap, that throws off a lot of cash flow and might have a price to book ratio of around 1 or below. Growth investors, me, I used to be a value investor. Growth investors like to buy stocks that are expensive, but growing very quickly. And although they appear expensive today, they're not based on my model or other growth investors' financial models, because they're trading at only 3 or 4 times earnings in 5 or 10 years. And so I'm more of a growth investor. Now, growth investors don't do as well in times like this. And so if you want to understand what to invest in during a recession, on my YouTube channel, just search for recession and what to invest in during a recession. I did a big piece on that as well. Now, there's this old school private wealth management thesis, which is the way to understand what percent of your portfolio should be riskier, meaning growth, versus less risky, meaning value, is you take the number 100 minus your age. So if you're 80 years old, and this is old school, and I'll explain why in a second, but if you're 80 years old, then you take 100 minus 80, and that equals 20. So that means 20% of your investment should be in riskier stocks, like growth ones, and 80% of your investment should be in lower risk stocks, maybe like US government treasuries, which are yielding, savings bonds are yielding 9.68% guaranteed. Now, it's unbelievable. It's amazing. Of course, I own them. I recommend everybody in the United States buy them as well. So another example is if you're 30 years old. If you're 30 years old, 100 minus 30 is 70. That means 70% of your investments can be in slightly riskier investments and 30% in lower risk investments. And the reason is you've got more time in your life to make that money back if you lose money. Now, the reason I say it's kind of old school or antiquated is because many people are living well into their 100s. I know we have many people on this webcast today that will make it to 150 years old. And if you don't believe me, if you just compare and contrast life expectancy today versus the 1950s, we're all living 26 years longer today than we were in the 1950s. And I promise you, 70 years from now, which is the difference between 1950s and today, 70 years from now, it'll probably increase another 50 years. Because I see a ton of venture capital money here in the San Francisco Bay Area, especially in South San Francisco, going into life extension. Yeah. All right. Okay. And if anybody wants, a lot of questions here about cryptos as well. Now, I teach portfolio management in my MBA degree program in a lot of detail, and risk management as well. And I break down every basic and advanced finance concept as well. It's a lot of fun. But I don't think that more than 5% of your liquid net worth should be in cryptos. Okay, let me explain. So your liquid net worth means your net worth not including your house, and after you get rid of all your debt as well. 5% is the max you can have in cryptos. Now, within that, I wouldn't have more than 10% of that 5% in any one crypto. So I wouldn't have more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth in Bitcoin, for example. If you have a handful of them, 1 or 2 might take off in the long run, but most will go to zero. And I know I teach a lot about cryptocurrencies, but I do think that, and I've said this publicly for years, that most cryptocurrencies are a scam. But there are a handful of ones that I believe in longer term. I mentioned them earlier today, what I own. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up we got Samir. Samir, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Samir wrote, hello, Chris. Hey, I'm glad you're feeling better. Thank you. I'm going to turn the air conditioning on here. All right. How would you build an ETF portfolio to do monthly investments? Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, if you don't have time to do research to buy individual stocks, then ETFs are a great way to go. Do a search on my YouTube channel on ETFs. I've done a ton of videos on ETFs over the years. I don't recommend buying mutual funds because they're a scam. Because number one, they underperform ETFs. Number two, the fees are really, really high. Now, when it comes to ETFs or investing in general, what I always recommend doing is, if you can, and I know times are tough now, but if you can, every 2 weeks or so when you get your paycheck, have money automatically taken out of your paycheck and invested in stocks or whatever asset class you're interested in, like ETFs. And if it's out of your savings account or out of your checking account, so you can't spend it, you're probably going to save a lot more. Warren Buffett said you always want to spend what is left after saving. So Max out your retirement savings program as well. I mean, your 401k, and you get these educational tax credits as well in many countries, educational savings accounts, so that you can pay for your kids' college if they decide to go. Now, the best place to look at for ETFs, decide what to invest in, and all websites I show you, you don't pay for. So you go to, and if you want to get the Financial Times for free, do a search on my YouTube video on how to get the Financial Times for free. But there's this website I love called ETF DB, DB standing for database, ETF database. And here what you can do is you can screen ETFs. You can look them by geography, by issuer, like big companies, whatever, blockchain ones, the Qs, which are all the tech stocks in the NASDAQ. Okay. You can invest in different countries, etc. And there's like 5,000 or 6,000 ones here that you can do work on, right? If you don't have the time to do a lot of work on this sort of thing, then I recommend owning a basket of stocks that are exposed to different countries. Like the SPY is the United States, right? That's S&P 500 index. The EWC is my beloved Canada. The EWZ, or Z as we say in Canada, is Brazil. So you can scroll through these. Then what you can do is you want to look at what the fee is as well on an annual basis, and you want to look at liquidity, and I'll show you how right now. All right, so let's do Brazil. Speaking of EWZ, yeah. So here it is here. So you got the EWZ here. So right here, the expense ratio is 0.57%, and what that means is this. It means for every $100 you invest in this ETF, you're going to pay 57 cents per year, okay, in fees. That's pretty good. More liquid ETFs have a fee of less than 0.1% though, like the SPY. So you can click here to find out what the holdings are as well. But let me show you a better way to do it. Another free website, Yahoo Finance. Okay, so if we go here to Yahoo Finance, this is me buying time because it's kind of slow today. It is sometimes, I don't know why. But if you go here to Yahoo Finance, what you can do is you type in the ticker of any ETF. Okay, and what you want to look at is in addition to the fees, which we know is 0.57%, you also want to look at liquidity, meaning how many shares that trade per day so that you can get in or out if need be in case of an emergency. And in the fall of 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, a lot of hedge funds went belly up because they owned illiquid stocks. And illiquid stocks own you in a down market instead of vice versa. So this one here trades 28 million shares or so per day. That's a hell of a lot. You can get in and out if you need to. Now, if we go here to holdings, we can understand the breadth and depth of the Brazilian economy in this ETF, the EWZ. And Brazil is a lot like Canada, as well as Australia, in that it's financial services and natural resources rich. And you can scroll down to see what the assets are. A lot of natural resources companies. You got Petrobras here, it's Petroleum Brazil, etc. And to find out the fees, another way to find out the fees, in addition to going to etfdb.com, is you go here to profile, and you can see that the fees here are 0.57%. Lastly, let's look at the SPY. So this here is an index representing the 500 stocks that make up the U.S. economy, I mean the S&P 500. So because this one trades a lot, 100 million shares per day, it's very liquid. You can get in and out. And when the volume is higher, usually the fees are lower as well. Okay. And so if we go here to profile, we'll see that the expense ratio is less than 0.1%. So if you put $100 into the S&P 500 ETF, ticker SPY, then every year you'll pay 9 pennies in fees. And you can also go here and look at the breadth and depth of this ETF. United States is much more tech heavy than other markets are. So it's no surprise that the top 10 holdings here are mainly tech stocks. Then you got Berkshire, which is basically an insurance company now. If you have additional questions about that, please let me know. And thank you as always. All right, let me get a little bit of water here. All right, give me 1 second. Feels good to stand again, man. All right. Okay, next up, Samir wrote, I'm curious, why are you liking Ethereum a little bit less now? Yeah. I've done a lot more research on the company since I first bought it back in 2018 or whatever it was. And I've realized, and I've not realized, but I feel uncomfortable with the fact that with Ethereum, there's no limit on the number of coins or ether that can be created, right? So when it comes to other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, there'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin out there ever. And that will max out by the year 2140. And so as you look at every investment class, make sure you understand supply as well. And my late great grandfather, I miss you, used to say, Chrissy, buy land, they're not making it anymore. So supply is always very important to analyze, yeah. And that's why rare minerals, rare earth minerals, as they call them now, are going up a lot in price because supply is limited, especially if you look at separately from rare minerals. You look at titanium, prices are up materially as well because Russia mines a lot of it. Yeah. All right. Mindy, how are you? Good morning to you as well. Always great to see you. Always great to see you. Okay. Shivansh said, hi, Chris. I hope you're doing well. And the question from Mindy is, I read this morning that Tesla might go bankrupt. What are your thoughts on that? I don't think so. I don't think so. So most companies, big companies like Coca-Cola, they spend 10% of their revenues every year in terms of advertising. So Coca-Cola makes $40 billion in revenue per year, and they spend $4 billion on advertising. Have you ever seen a Tesla commercial? I haven't. And a lot of the stuff that Elon Musk does, he's brilliant. He does a lot of controversial but tasteful things to the extent that he gets free publicity. And you can't buy that publicity. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to go bankrupt anytime soon. Also, before I invest in a company, in addition to doing a lot of due diligence and fundamental research, I ask myself this basic question, which is this. In 5 years, will this company and the sector it's in be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? Well, we know in 5 years, more people are going to be buying non-gas powered cars. In fact, given what Russia is doing, which is disgusting, but the unintended positive thing coming out of this awful thing they're doing is that it's going to force us all to get off of oil. And I think that in Europe, in 30 years or so, it will be against the law to buy a gas-powered car. I think so. And there's a famous Saudi Aramco executive that once said the Stone Age did not end because they ran out of stones. So I think Tesla and the electric powered automobile market is going to be much more relevant in 5 years. Yeah. Now, what would make me not like Tesla at all is if Elon Musk left, because ideas are commodities, but execution is not, and this guy can certainly execute. Yeah. All right. Next question is from Sam, who wrote, what are your thoughts about the possibility of Coinbase going bankrupt? Yeah. So Coinbase, ticker COIN, they let go 11% of their workforce recently. That's 1,100 people. That's 18% of their workforce. But what Coinbase did just over a year ago, I think it was in May of 2021, was they did a massive convert. Okay, let me explain what that means. So the company went public, and then several months later, they did a convert. And a convert basically allows you to get debt from the marketplace that converts, like a convertible car, that converts into equity eventually. And it was a massive, massive convert, and it was brilliant in hindsight that they did it. And if you want to understand more about converts and exactly what Coinbase did, you go up here and you can type up Coinbase. And in my MBA program and courses, here's where you could learn more about Coinbase. But right here, I did a segment on their $1.2 billion convertible debt offering, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So I think they're okay for the near term. Longer term, I don't know. I think they are somewhat well capitalized compared to the competition. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, we've got HD Video Test 1. Great to see you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Your question is, what do you think about freelancing? And what would you personally do if you had to restart from zero with 25 years of age to have revenue of $80,000 fast? Yeah, yeah. So I think that probably the best place to go for freelancing is Upwork.com. And you can all go there if you want to, and we all have skills that we can sell. Even if you just want to make PowerPoint presentations or brochureware through Adobe PDF Photoshop documents, you can go here and make a fortune. So you go to Upwork. Okay. And I've hired a lot of people over Upwork over the past couple of years. And what I've done actually is I've had them do a lot of my technology work, like API integration, etc. So you can hire people for $50 an hour if it's in the tech sector, or much cheaper in other sectors here. So yeah, I hired this guy here. Actually is amazing. His name is David Hidiat, and he's helping me with my thumbnails. He's great, incredible. Yeah, he's amazing. He's also my MBA program. Great guy. This is the guy here I hired in Pakistan to take care of API customization. So what you do is you search for what you're good at, and then you basically create a profile that's similar but different than the top sellers here in this category. So if I do a search here on Photoshop, this guy here changes his name. 100% job success. He's made over 20 grand as his side hustle here at $50 per hour, right? And some of these people make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so that's where I'd start to look right now if I were you. Yeah. Especially if you have technical skills. Or what you can do is you can go online, learn technical skills, take a course for like $10, and then you can basically use what you've learned, and there will be a massive return on investment by selling your work, contractor-wise, freelancer-wise, over Upwork. Now, a lower quality version of Upwork is Fiverr, which is a great company based in Tel Aviv. And the company is spelled as follows, Fiverr. And you can outsource and get cheaper stuff done. So for my latest book, I think it was for $20, I had somebody on Fiverr make the cover for me. Yeah. And these are just some of many side hustles you can have as you work for somebody else. And the younger generation, it's fascinating. I was talking to my wife about this, and I interviewed a lady named Linda Lazarus last year. She writes for the Globe and Mail in Canada. I interviewed her on my YouTube channel, and she came up with this term called the YOLO economy. And the YOLO economy stands for you only live once. And it's mainly the younger generation that inspires me so much, that believes that they don't want to work for one person or one company at the same time. They want to work for many and on their own terms using a laptop from remote areas. And we all know with COVID that it's possible to telecommute and work remotely as well. Yeah. Other side hustles you can think about include YouTube, if you've got a YouTube personality. I sort of don't. Also, what you can do is you can teach online. You can go to places like Udemy or teachable.com and basically teach what you're passionate about. And there's great success stories of people teaching non-tech stuff on Udemy as well as online on different websites. There's one woman named Patricia Greenway, I think is her last name. Yeah. So she bakes bread and makes a fortune. Ninja, who streams on Twitch, for those of you that play Fortnite, my kids are totally into it. He started his career by teaching online as a side hustle on Udemy as well. We all have something to teach, and when one teaches, two learn. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Cassandra. How are you, Cassandra? Great to see you. And I hope you're feeling better. Cassandra wrote, "Hi, Chris. How are you?" Michael Berry tweeted yesterday that large retailers are overstocked. Instead of processing returns, they're offering refunds and asking customers to keep the products. Wow, that's crazy. That's deflationary too. It shows that the rising of the interest rates is cooling down the economy, which will bring down inflation. And then he wrote here, how will the bull effect trickle down to us as consumers? Will it really result in lower prices and prevent future interest rate hikes? Or is that wishful thinking? Yeah. So a lot of companies, 6 months ago or so, before Russia invaded Ukraine, bastards, 6 months ago, there was low inventory everywhere. Like if you want to buy a computer, the prices were high. Intel, and this is from a case study from my MBA program, but Intel had only 6 days worth of inventory. The same thing with Tesla. Inventory was low. And so what happened, of course, was prices were high to the extent that used cars were more expensive than buying them brand new. But now what's happened, because interest rates have risen and will continue to rise, it's really cooled off demand to the extent that companies are noticing a slowdown in consumer spending. Just look at retail sales or consumer sentiment statistics released the other day. Things are bad. Things are really bad. Listen to the Target, ticker TGT, or Walmart, ticker WMT, earnings calls, and you'll hear them say that inventory is starting to spike, which is problematic. However, there is a silver lining, because the government is raising interest rates, as we know, which is cooling off demand, and prices will drop because of that. Even little things like the PlayStation 5, it's now more readily available and prices are coming down materially. Yeah. Great question, and it's great to see you. Yeah. And the way you can monitor interest rates is you can always go to, like what the market is expecting for interest rates, is you can go to the United States government website called Treasury.gov. Okay, and right here, you can look at what's called the yield curve. Okay, and you can map this out if you want to create a chart in Excel, or you can just look at the numbers. So if we look here at the short-term Treasury government debt 1 month on January 3rd, when the market peaked, it was 0.05%, and the 30-year was 2%. Let's now see what it is today. All right. So the 1 month today is at 1.12%, and the 30-year is at 3.22%. These are massive increases in a relatively small amount of time. But if you monitor this, Cassandra and everybody on the call, if you see that yields go down a bunch here, then it kind of indicates that, hey, maybe this rate, these rate hikes are cooling inflation. So I monitored the data here. Okay, moving on to Sam. Sam wrote, can you give us an update about your program in real estate and NFT course? Yeah, it's something I'm adding to the MBA degree program. So in my MBA degree program, I have 5 sections. Okay, there's entrepreneurship, finance and accounting, sales, marketing, and communications, personal growth, and economics management and strategy. The 6th one I'm adding is technology, and I'm teaching people how to program from scratch. Now, I used to be a programmer years ago, and I worked at Accenture, and I did a lot of coding. And I still code on the side now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be teaching in a completely different visual way using my 3D printer. It's going to come out in less than a year, meaning the real estate stuff, the programming stuff, and other stuff in my MBA degree program. If you purchase the MBA degree program today or in the past, or if you will, you get all that stuff for free, all editions. But the way I'm going to teach it is quite different. Okay, I love using props, as many of you know, and if and when you meet me, you'll notice I'm a tiny human being. I'm really small. Yeah, but I love using props, and so the way I'm going to teach it is I'm going to use props to explain how to code. I'm going to make it very visual and fun, and you'll learn by accident. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, oddly enough, with Microsoft Excel, and here's why. And I'll get to the pencil thing in a second. But in Microsoft Excel, there's something called macros, which many of you know about. And what you can do is you can record yourself doing stuff in Excel, right? Say record yourself, I don't know, clicking on a cell, doing a calculation, and inserting an image. And after you record yourself doing that, you hit stop record. You then look at the code that's created for you. And it's a very simplistic application or coding language called Visual Basic for Applications. And what happens is those are called sub-procedures. Okay, and so I have this 3D printer, which I'm not very good at yet. I'm figuring it out. But within a sub-procedure, you've got a sub at the top and then end sub at the bottom. In the middle, you have a bunch of functions, variables, coding logic, etc. So I'm going to visualize everything for you. We're going to start with Excel. Then we're going to move on to JavaScript and some basic HTML stuff. And eventually we'll do Python and other languages. And whatever languages are in demand, or technology products like business intelligence and analytics products that are in demand, whatever those are that are in demand in the future, I will learn them and I'll add them to the MBA program. Why the pencil? Well, in business, we always think like the other person does at the other side of the table before and during a meeting. The same thing with programming. So computers, like software, when they want to make a change to an object, they start big and go small. So for example, to make this eraser green instead of pink, the computer would think pencil.eraser.color equals green. So it's going to be a much more visual way to do it. In terms of the real estate stuff, which I am adding to the MBA, I was planning on going to Canada this summer. I'm not going anymore. I'm way behind on work, and I got to create these courses for you guys. But when I was there, I was going to record myself. We bought a couple of buildings in Southern Ontario, and I was going to explain how it works. That's been deferred a little bit because of my illness. I'm all better now. But I will be adding that to the MBA program as well. Thanks. Okay. And the NFT stuff, NFT course, working on that as well. I'm partnering with somebody named Trevor Cochran, who's the son of one of my best friends out here, Scott. And we're creating the complete metaverse and NFT course. We're putting them together. Yeah. Again, if you're in my MBA program, you get that for free. Okay. Next up, Manas from India. Good to see you, bud. He wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Chris, please. Hope all is well. Your voice sounds wonderful. Thank you. I like that emoji. You wrote, glad to hear it again. And then you wrote, a lot to ask you today. Let's go be yourself no matter what they say, as Sting says. That's my favorite song called An Englishman in New York by Sting. Be yourself no matter what they say. I love it. Yeah. Moving on to Carolyn, who is from Paris originally, but she lives in Ontario, Canada. She's in my silver MBA. By the way, there's no office hours for silver today. But if people are in gold and platinum, there will be one at 11:20. Yeah. So Carolyn wrote, hi, Chris. Nice to hear your health is back. What's the best way to monitor the RSI? Yeah. So basically what you want to do, and I vlogged about this earlier this week, just do a search on RSI on my YouTube channel. But basically what you want to do is you want to make sure, let me go to finance.yahoo.com. I'll pull up Tesla, I guess. You want to look to see if the stock's RSI metric is at 80 or 20. Okay, 80 means it's overbought, 20 means it's oversold, and mean reversion happens, and there's a dead cat bounce if it's oversold. But I caution you, please, to do fundamental and valuation-based research first. So right here, Tesla, it's not oversold in my books yet enough. Okay, so here is 20. Right here, we're almost there, yeah. And it was almost overbought at this level here, right? And sometimes it's self-fulfilling. It matters because it does. That's how some traders think. But again, you want to do fundamental and valuation-based work on a stock before looking at technical analysis. Yeah. Okay. And Carolyn, I cover that actually in a lot of detail in the MBA degree program, and I'll show you really quickly how to access that. So if you go to, because you're already registered, yeah. If you go here, just do a search on, I think it's RSI. Let's see here. In my MBA program, and I talked about my crypto course as well. Let me see, technical analysis. Technical analysis. Yeah, here it is here. Okay. So this is your version here, silver. So if you click right here, it'll take you to technical analysis within the program. And because you've already registered, it'll log you in right to that lecture. I'm logged out right now. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, the United States and the West has banned Russian gold. What does that mean? And will it put the market down more? Yeah. It's rough, man. If you look at titanium, for example, and one of the big sources of titanium is Russia. Prices have gone up a lot because you can't get access to that. And so think of any commodities that Russia has, and think of embargoes globally. For example, oil. Yeah, so they should all go up if Russia has that commodity, and from a supply demand perspective, they're cut off from the world. Yeah, and they defaulted on their debt for the first time since 1917 or something the other day. Yeah, but the problem is with Putin. He's been thinking about this Ukraine thing for a long time, and I hope that all Eastern European countries join NATO as soon as possible. Latvia and others did it back in 2004. The problem with Putin is that when he was in university, he did a degree in geology. And his thesis was, what if Russia controlled the bulk of natural resources in the world? What would that do for their economy, right? Obviously, it would help them a lot. to the extent that, yeah, they're suffering now big time, but the price of oil is up materially, and they have a lot of oil and natty gas, and they're still selling it to certain countries. Yeah. So it's frustrating, really frustrating. Yeah. It's kind of like the ruble. It meant nothing during communism as well. So maybe their currency of choice in the future, as they try to unfortunately reassemble the USSR, currency of choice in the future is just going to be their commodities. Yeah, yeah. And I don't think they're going to stop at Ukraine, which breaks my heart. Yeah. My son was asking me, how long will this war go on for? And I said, well, the Cold War lasted decades, from like the 50s until perestroika and glasnost, when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. So this is Cold War Part 2, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. And I think in hindsight's 2020, that the U.S. government is probably not happy that they pulled out of Afghanistan. I understand why they did at the time. Again, hindsight's 2020. But by having troops overseas, you kind of stabilize regions. Yeah. All right. Moving on to Shavanch, who wrote, could you give some advice on what a last year graduate student should do to get an internship on the buy side directly after college? The buy side basically means working for a mutual fund company or a hedge fund to pick stocks. Then you wrote, is this possible from a non-target school in India? Now, you can do it. One of my students in my Platinum MBA program this year, he just got a full-time job offer to work in investment banking at Goldman Sachs in New York City. They just flew his family in there. And so his start class includes people that went to Harvard Business School, HBS, my school, etc. And just remember, 2/3 of HBS is BS. Maybe that's Haroun Business School's BS. I don't know. Yeah. When I was younger, we used to go to dinner, and they used to page my family. They'd say, heroin, party of six, heroin, party of six. All right. So what I recommend you do, and I teach this in my MBA program in a lot of detail, is you network on steroids. Now, for every job opening you see online, you have a 1 in 250 chance of getting that job. And the person that gets that job is usually not the one who's got a gazillion more degrees than you. The person that gets that job usually knows somebody at the company. And so in my MBA program, what I do is I teach you how to network, how to leverage social media, LinkedIn, etc., to get the job of your dreams. It works, I promise you, or your money back. I have a 30-day money back guarantee. I have students that have gotten jobs at Goldman Sachs, as well as Google recently, Salesforce, and many other great companies. Yeah. So remember, relationships are more important than product knowledge. Okay, and your network is your net worth. Yeah. And what I used to do, actually, I used to teach when I worked in venture capital full time. During the evenings, what I would do is I would teach at several Bay Area universities, MBA and undergrad. And the first day of class, and they're usually 10-week sessions, the first day of class, I would always say this to my 70 students. I love big classes. I would say this. If I told you that if over the next 10 weeks that you set up 10 informational meetings, leveraging LinkedIn, for example, if I told you that if you did that, you would get the job of your dreams, would you do it? And it was like the wave. All 70 hands went up immediately. And then on the last day of class, like during the final, right before the final exam, which was always easy, and Tom Thomas, who was the dean, always called me and said, Chris, I'm seeing serious grade inflation again. And I'd always tell him, this is the best class ever. But during the last class, what I would do is I would say, okay, how many people here did those 10 informational meetings? No hands go up. How many did 9 informational meetings? No hands go up. How many did 8? 1 or 2 hands would go up. And those students were never the ones that got the top grades, but they're always the ones that got the top jobs and the jobs of their dreams. And so the bottom line is, if you want to get that coveted job on the buy side, I mean a hedge fund or mutual fund, you have to set up a ton of informational meetings. So what I want you to do is, everybody, target the company that you want to work at, and don't just apply for jobs when you see an opening because you got a 1 in 250 chance of getting the job. But what I want you to do is I want you to network with 10 people, that's right, that work at that company, get to know them. And then when and if a job opens up, they will take your resume to the front of the line and they'll fight for you on your behalf. I teach you about this in more detail in my MBA program. It works, I promise you, or your money back. Okay. Oh my God, I sound like a used car salesman there. Okay. All right. Next up, Sam wrote, "Hi, Chris. What is something that recently changed one of your opinions, or something new you learned that you found useful?" Whoa, that's tough. I mean, when I had COVID over the past a couple of weeks, I put things into context, and I kind of looked at my life from a high level perspective, and I became even longer term focused. And I realized that I want to give away a bunch of my courses by partnering with big charities. And so I reached out to Amnesty International so I can help out with them. Details are coming soon. Yeah. Yeah. But it made me longer term focused. And I think, as Warren Buffett said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And it made me more grateful too when I had COVID. Grateful for everything I have in my life. I'm very blessed. Yeah. Now, every day before I get out of bed, what gets me in a great mood, and I recommend everybody do this too, is you meditate while you're lying there, and you thank God or be grateful for 10 things. And so every day before I get out of bed, I thank God for the following 10 things. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my wife, Christine, my mom and dad, my brother, Jamie, my sisters, Katie and Elizabeth, and you, my students. So I practice gratitude every single day. It gets me into a peak mental state, and I can't wait to get up every day. Yeah. Yeah. Another thing I want to say, as I talk about gratitude and more spiritual, is that we tend to worry too much about our jobs. And what kills us, actually, the number one killer out there, I think, is worrying. And things are never as bad as you think. And so Sir Winston Churchill said he once met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. And so it's worrying that kills us, not work. And I don't want you to worry about stuff when it comes to your career. And I don't worry ever either. And the reason I don't, and this really hit home during COVID, was I told myself, God already knows what's going to happen. And that puts me at ease. And so every little stumbling block you've hit over the past decade or so career-wise, I want you to look at it positively. What's positive about this? And a lot of very successful people were fired from their previous careers. And that was a positive thing in hindsight. Madonna was fired working at Dunkin' Donuts. Robert Redford was fired from working at an oil company. Michael Bloomberg was fired by Merrill Lynch, and he started his empire. So I want you to see negative career events, within reason, but negative career events as being positive in the long run. Okay? The glass is not half empty. It's not half full. My cup overfloweth with optimism. Always see the positives in everything. And the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, they're very positive people. Very positive, yeah. Okay, moving on to great questions today, guys. Next up, I've got Solomon, who wrote, what's the best cryptocurrency to focus on buying during this market crash? Yeah. So I pride myself on humbly teaching my students how to fish. I'll give you lots of templates and tools to pick stocks, etc., instead of giving you a fish. But I would probably say Bitcoin. Yeah. It's the lowest risk compared to all the others. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, we have Wendy. Wendy, great to see you. First time I see you on the webcast. I hope you join us again. So Wendy wrote, hi, Chris, one question. Sure. When doing business, is it better to tell people what you're doing or do things in silence until you succeed? Yeah. Yeah. So a couple things there. Number one, if you're working at a big company and they give you one of these things and you're thinking of leaving that company one day or starting your own company, if you have a personal budget, get one that looks just like this so you can conduct your other business on the side. And if you're frustrated at work, and I say this with love in my heart, but good, because frustration leads to reinvention. It forces you to get a better job, to make more, whatever it is, or to start your own company and put your dent in the universe. So if you're going to start a company and you're working at a bigger company, as long as there's no legal issue for you not being able to do it, be really careful, man. Be careful. Like, use this personal phone as your Wi-Fi hotspot, because any company can fire anybody by looking through emails. They can always find something. Warren Buffett said, if you dig deep enough, you can find dirt on every human being on the planet. So just be careful. Yeah. But aside from that, I believe in setting BAG goals, BHAG, which is a term we use in venture capital. BAG stands for big, hairy, audacious goals. And I believe that you need to vocalize your goals and set a deadline date. So, for example, I told my friends and family years ago when I was writing my first book that I'm writing a book. And every time, and so I vocalized my goal. And I'd see my parents at Thanksgiving and they'd say, how's the book coming along? I'm like, damn it. So I had to set a deadline date and I finally got it done. But by vocalizing your goal with your friends, family members, etc., coworkers, even if you trust them, by vocalizing your goals, it will put pressure on you. And I say it with love in my heart to get it done. And 95% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January because they don't set a deadline date. So set that deadline date, vocalize your goal to those you trust. Okay. All right. And the frustrating thing about working at big companies is sometimes you get paid more and you do better career-wise, you advance faster by not working as hard. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate it when people hire other people and they think that they hired their assassin. It's so frustrating when you get passed over for a promotion because you're too good at what you do. And if you're frustrated like that, then let me help you, because those are my favorite students to humbly help. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Roy said, hello, Chris. Can you please talk about Shopify and its free fall? Yeah, it's most tech stocks have gotten absolutely slaughtered. You know, they missed earnings. A lot of tech companies have. Now, if you look at Shopify, it's the largest component now in the Toronto Stock Market Index. So go to EWC and look at the holdings. It's the largest holding. And it's a tech stock, so it's risky. And a lot of Canadian portfolio managers in their retirement savings programs funds, like the RSP funds, they have to own a certain percent in Canadian stocks. So if you want to invest as a Canadian portfolio manager in Canadian tech stocks, there's really only one or two. And so what's happening today with Shopify is similar with what happened with Nortel years ago in Canada. Everybody had it in their RRSP, their savings account, but it got destroyed when the tech market pulled back in the early 2000s. I think Shopify is a good long-term investment, though, and I would roll up my sleeves and do a ton of work, because I think in 5 years, more people are going to want to set up online stores than there are today. Yeah, I'd start doing the work on the company. Yeah. My gut is it's a broken stock, but not a broken company. Yeah. All right, next up, Manas wrote, I believe that the peak is yet to come, I mean, in the downfall of Russia, and it will not stop at any way, so it will pull the market to its low, and it's going below the 1930 depression level again for long. I certainly hope not. I don't think things are as bad as we think. Yeah, I mean, the market still went up a lot during the Cold War, when Ronald Reagan, my favorite president ever, was when he beat Gorby back in the 80s. Yeah. And then, okay. And that next question, Manas, I'm not an expert in that one. Sorry. Yeah. All right, moving on to Daniel Torres. Hey, Dan, who wrote, can you repeat the bonds that you mentioned earlier that are paying really good? I think you said it was a type of savings bond. Yeah. So I never tell you what to buy, but I do in this case. And I do put my reputation on the line with what I'm about to say. So before I get there, let me quickly mention this. The very last company on the planet that will ever go bankrupt, the last entity, is the United States government. It is what it is. You know, it's a capitalist society. I know they have a lot of debt, but they haven't really missed debt payments before. All right, so what you can do is, if you're in the United States, I'll make this quick, I promise you. You can go to treasurydirect.gov, and you can buy bonds directly from the United States government. That's why it's called treasurydirect.gov. And you click here on how to buy Series I bonds. Okay. Now, these bonds, okay, they're guaranteed. You will not lose money on them, even if we enter a deflationary market. But the way these bonds work is it's 9.62%. And the most you can buy per person is $10,000. Of course, I've maxed out. I recommend all of my US-based students do the same. So what happens is they're inflation protected. So if inflation goes up, these will go up. If inflation goes down, these will go down. But you'll never lose money on it, ever. And so the way these work is, again, you can buy up to $10,000 worth. The way it works is every 6 months, the rate changes. So that means every November 1st and April 1st. And as of now, if you own these bonds, you will make 9.62% annualized between now and November 1st. And then on November 1st, if inflation is more of an issue, this goes up in value. If it's less an issue, it goes down. Again, you can't lose money on it. Now, there are some stipulations. Number one, you have to be located in the United States. And I'll wrap this one up quickly because it's not global in nature. Number two, you have to actually own these for at least a year or you pay a penalty. And number three, if you sell it within 5 years, you lose 1/4 of interest, which is nothing. Yeah. So I recommend, I put my reputation on the line, if you're in the United States, if you can, to buy these. Yeah. All right. And you notice that the stock market's been going down a lot because of stuff like this, right? So, and let me give you a more extreme example, the early 80s. In the early 80s, inflation and interest rates were around 20%. Things were much worse then because unemployment then was 10% versus 4% or under 4% now. But in the early 80s, because bonds were valued, government bonds, at like 20%, why the hell would you buy stocks if you're guaranteed to make 20%? That's what's happening right now. As governments around the world are raising interest rates, fewer people are buying stocks because it's a lower risk investment to buy high yielding government debt. Do your research on them first. Please make sure they're AAA rated. And what's happening is a lot of hedge funds and retail day traders, when they invest and have invested over the past couple of years, because interest rates were zero, they would borrow a ton of money to invest. That's called leverage. Don't do that, please. But now that interest rates are going up, they're doing a little bit less of that, a lot less of that as well. Yeah. So it's all relative. When interest rates are high, stock market doesn't do well, and usually vice versa. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Russia has been selling more oil to Russia, to itself, okay, and India and Africa. Now, it's not losing anything economically. How will sanctions impact Russia longer term? Yeah, it breaks my heart that that the whole world has not cut them off. So if I guess non-NATO countries, continue to support Russia longer term, then this war will go on for a long, long time because their new currency or currency of choice, it's not the ruble. They don't care about that. It's commodities. Yeah. Next up, Manas wrote, do you see a fall in Udemy sales? A lot of instructors are complaining about it. What are your thoughts on this one? Yeah. So generally speaking, online streaming products have tough year-over-year comparisons. And so if you look at Netflix, for example, Netflix stock got creamed earlier this year because they're seeing a decline in subscribers. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, for Netflix, and I analyze it in detail and do a search on my vlog here on Netflix. I did a big segment on it. The reason why some streaming services are getting hurt is because a lot of people are going outdoors more often because COVID is over for many people. That's number one. Number two, today versus 5 or 10 years ago, there are so many other streaming alternatives like Disney, and I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was, the final episode was good. Paramount streaming, and the best show to watch right now on Paramount streaming is The Offer. The Offer. It's with Miles Teller from Top Gun. It's amazing. But anyway, it's about the Godfather movie. But you have all these competing offerings. So for me, my MBA degree program is much bigger now than my Udemy business. Yeah, but Udemy is still going to grow. It's still, Google and everyone else's Bing when it comes to ed tech. And yeah, I'll continue to make courses on Udemy and support them. Yeah, I'm in their partner program. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Sam wrote, Russia is making the same amount or more on oil since prices are high. Yeah. But most countries that use Russian oil don't have other alternatives. Yeah. Yeah. As long as there's no embargo from non-NATO countries, I think Russia will, unfortunately, the debt default won't be an issue for them. Yeah. Breaks my heart. Moving on to Keith. Keith, how are you? You hope all is well. What's your view on the EU's directive to stop selling internal combustion engines by 2035? Is it time to go electric or hybrid? I love seeing that happen because basically that's a hit to Putin longer term, right? It's going to come back to bite him. And as I mentioned earlier, a Saudi executive once said, the Stone Age did not end because they ran out of stones. So I think it's going to be against the law to have a gas-powered car in all NATO-based countries at some point in my life, yeah, which will hurt Russia. Problem is, they realize that I think longer term, Putin gets it, which is why he wants to reassemble the USSR now. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Sam, who wrote, what is your opinion about the dollar going to zero within the century? Yeah, I don't think that would happen. So monopolies are inherently lazy. They don't have to innovate, right? And the U.S. government has basically a monopoly on the lowest risk bonds out there. Yeah, I don't think that would happen. Yeah, and if the United States government was ever fearful that cryptocurrencies are taking a lot of share from people using dollars, that's how we say in Canada, dollars. If the U.S. government ever felt that way, they would just make cryptocurrencies illegal. Yeah, and a lot of countries have done it. A lot of more left-wing countries have made cryptos illegal because of that reason. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, Terra Luna was a stable coin that crashed to zero, but the founder left with $2 billion as his share. What do you think about it, and how fair is that in life? It's obviously not fair, and I guarantee you there's going to be massive class action lawsuits against this person. Yeah, too many scammers in cryptos, right? That's why I don't recommend having a massive part of your portfolio in cryptocurrencies. Okay, next up, Sam said, some people say that every fiat currency is going to zero. Yeah, and fiat currency, for those who don't know, I didn't know years ago, is a paper-based currency. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, again, if governments feel threatened by cryptos, they'll just make them illegal. Yeah. All right. And then Manas wrote, ZigiMedia once worked for you. You told us that they work with you now, or are you done with them? You named them in a lot of webcasts and live sessions. Yeah, there's a, and I'll show you guys here. I took a lot of it in-house, but there's a guy there named Elon. You see ZigiMedia, who I had a call with the other day. He's a great guy. I wish him well. He did wonderful work himself personally for me. And if you go to their website, you see that actually there's a testimonial for him as well. Here we go, right here. Yeah. So I wrote, my business is my passion, my purpose. Elon and his team at ZigiMedia, mainly Elon, understand that because digital marketing is their passion and purpose. Yeah. So I think they're great. Again, I took a bunch of stuff in-house, but I recommend this company. Yeah. Elon is great. All right. And Elon, if you're watching, I miss you. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah. All right. And his business is booming too. So anybody that wants to outsource or grow their online presence, I humbly recommend calling Elon. Yeah. Okay. All right. And most things I have in-house. I don't have any full-time employees. I outsource a lot of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of it is done automatically with technology. Yeah. All right. And give me 1 second, guys. Do a search on Ziggy because I lost my spot here. All right, next up, Manas wrote, do you see Bitcoin at 1,000 and Ethereum at 200 again, or even lower than that? Well, I'll be buying the heck out of it as it goes down that level, I tell you. Yeah. You wrote, everyone is freaking out, but not me, because you told me, buy when there's blood in the streets. What are your thoughts? Yeah, now is the time to start rolling up your sleeves and doing a lot of due diligence on cryptocurrencies, and especially stocks, especially ones that are massively oversold. Yeah. And then you wrote, the CEO of Binance left the United States to settle in Dubai because Dubai has no restrictions on cryptos and Web3 What do you think about this? Yeah, look, whenever markets are in free fall, you see executives' true colors, shine through. And you get caught if the market pulls back and you're a scammer. So it happened with Bernard Madoff back in 2008 with his Ponzi scheme. As the market did poorly, people were redeeming, which hurt him. Same thing with Binance, with redemption as well. And in hindsight, with Bernard Madoff, I mean, it was so obvious we should have known, because his name was Madoff, because he made off. Yeah. And for those of you that watch the TV show Billions, there's a Russian oligarch in that show that lost a fortune. He's an actor to Madoff, and that's why he took on that role. Yeah. All right. Okay. Same thing happened with Enron as well. When the markets pulled back, you find out who's fraudulent, who's not. Same thing with Bernie Ebbers and WorldCom. The second these stocks start pulling back and people want to redeem, et cetera, or sell their shares, you find that these CEOs have done something really unethical. Yeah. And I always ask myself, why is it that these billionaires get caught for insider trading? They're already billionaires. Well, the reason is because they cheated all the way up there. Yeah. Many of them. Okay. And Manos wrote, will Tesla survive in the long run without Elon? Because the first company to do something new never survives longer term, like Yahoo, IBM. What do you think? Yeah. Of course, those companies are still around. So I always believe in analyzing management teams first, which is something I teach in my MBA program. The problem with business schools in general and investing is people analyze the financial statements and the business model in a lot of detail. Then they might just look casually at the management team and not really care. You start with the management team always. Yeah. Okay. And then Manas wrote, "Thank you for everything. You're most welcome. Eat a bit of dosa and you'll be well. See you next week and forever and ever." By the way, I published 3 new courses this week. Nice, congratulations. Yeah, dosa is my favorite food. For those of you that have not eaten dosa, turn me off and go get dosa. And when you go to an Indian restaurant around the world, don't get chicken tandoori and all that stuff is amazing. I love it. But ask for dosa. Even if it's not on the menu, it might be off menu. It is the best food you'll ever eat. Yeah, I love it. I learned that when I went to Punjabi Grill when I was in Mumbai as well as Delhi. Yeah. All right. And then Pulashi wrote, "Hello, sir. Chris, please. How are you? I'm great. Thank you. I feel amazing. It's so good to be back, man. It's so good. Beautiful day too. We've had incredible weather here. It's completely overexposed. I'll leave it open for a minute or so. All right. You wrote, I love your teaching method. Thank you. First, understand the macro level. After that, understand the micro level. I apply that method to learn new things. Yeah. And investment themes in general, like macro themes when we invest, investment themes last longer than you think. Yeah. And you got to ask yourself the 5-year, the 5-year question always when you're doing research on a company. In 5 years, this company will be more relevant or less relevant than it is today. And turnarounds in technology almost never work, 1 per decade. And so when a technology company starts becoming a little bit less relevant, right, like BlackBerry in Canada, once iPhone was announced in January of 2007, when tech companies start becoming a little bit less relevant, it's game over. Don't get seduced by cheap valuation because that valuation is wrong. Those earnings are wrong. Again, when a company starts becoming less relevant, it's game over because turnarounds usually don't work in tech or most markets in general. Every decade has an exception. You have Apple, in the early 2000s. You've got IBM actually in the 1990s under Lou Gerstner. And read his book called "Who Said Elephants Can't Dance" if you want to understand how to turn around a company. Lou Gerstner used to work at McKinsey. Again, he was the former CEO of IBM. All right. Next up, Rita wrote, "Hi, Chris. You're looking fabulous." Then you wrote, "Thank God for that." Thank you. And then you wrote, "I'm truly enjoying your lectures from Melbourne down under." Awesome. Thank you. And my 3rd biggest market now is Australia. It's United States at 20%, 11% is India, and Australia, I think, is like 7 or 8%. Yeah. Great to see you. Thanks. And I have a lot of people from Australia in my MBA program as well. Good to see you. Thank you. I feel great. Next up, we have Thomas from Sweden. How are you? Thomas is in my platinum program. He was in silver, upgraded to platinum. He is going to change the world. He is a rare disease hunter, and I respect him. It was so wonderful talking to you yesterday over Zoom as well. You inspire me, brother. So Thomas wrote, "Hi, Chris. Heartwarming to see you. Likewise. Do you think there will be more economic decline in the foreseeable future? Do you think we could slip into recession in the coming months?" Yeah, I'd say that probability of recession is over 50% right now. If you just look at corporate earnings and inventory levels, as Cassandra mentioned earlier today, it's quite problematic. And having oil at the level it's at now, and I think it's going to well above 150 soon, it hurts the economy. It hurts every business. Yeah. So I think, most likely going to recession. So I think it's going to be, things are going to get bad. And that's the best time to start a company, is during a recession, because nobody else is. And if you start, there's less competition. And if you start a company during a recession, what happens is you're running scared and your expenses are minimal. And then when the economy improves, and it'll always improve eventually, as GDP starts to grow, your revenues take off as well. And in my MBA degree program, actually, in the third semester, we have what's called a venture capital boot camp. I have lots of props. It's fun for me. And what we do is, I used to work in venture capital. I was on a lot of boards of companies. I helped out a lot of startups. And so I teach you how to raise money and how to start a company as well from scratch. And don't ever start a company, please, without writing a full business plan first, because failing to plan is planning to fail. Yeah. And it's the most important decisions you'll make career-wise in your life, starting a company. And if you don't do it right, it can bankrupt you, destroy your health, your wealth, and your relationship with your loved ones. Write that business plan first, and I humbly help you again in the third semester of my MBA program, which you can start today if you want to. And the silver version you can start anytime. And I'm launching another MBA program for gold and platinum students every Friday for 1 year starting September 30th. We're doing the MBA quarterly now. Yeah. And there'll never be 2 different time zones. Okay. Great to see you, Thomas. Moving on to Darius, who wrote, "Is it true that recessions make people the wealthiest?" Yeah. A lot of people grew up in the Great Depression, like a lot of people's grandparents, and they're wealthy because they're cheap because of that, right? Really, really cheap. So if you grew up in poverty or during awful economic times, you're going to be cheap, really cheap. And I recommend everybody please live below your means and read this book. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. Live below your means. Always, always, always. Yeah. Next up, Joe wrote, "Hey, Chris, good to be here. Great to see you, Joe. Do you have any faith in our current administration?" Oof. Oh, man, that's tough. I'm not happy with the way things are going. I'm not. Yeah. So am I a Democrat or a Republican? It all depends. It all depends. Like, I didn't vote for Obama, but I love him. I also didn't vote for Trump. So I'm more of a libertarian, and I'll vote Democrat if I like the candidates more than the other candidates. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a libertarian, but it all depends on the candidate. I wish they could bring back Ronald Reagan, though. I loved him. Yeah. All right, next up, Raymond. How are you, man? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well, man. Great to see you. And I think it was years ago, 2017, December, I was giving a presentation, and you came up to me, and we talked, and then you sent me that New York Yankees hat. Thank you. We talked about the movie 61, the best baseball movie ever made. I think that's you. If not, let me know. Thanks. Great to see you. So Raymond wrote, "I'm impressed with low code and no code applications such as Oracle Apex." You used to work at Oracle, I think, right? And a number of others newer to the market. Yeah. It's great to see you, man. Yeah. It's been too long. Next up, Joe wrote, "Chris, do you have any thoughts on why the free world doesn't come together to stop Russia from killing people and on an immediate basis. Yeah, yeah. So the free world is supporting Ukraine through arms and a lot of money as well. And a lot of people think, doesn't make sense to send money to Ukraine. It's not fair as an American, for example. Why can't I get a tax break? It's not fair. No, it's the right thing to do. I'd give them even more for humanitarian reasons, number one. And number two, from a financial modeling perspective, if you're the United States government and you think that oil is going to $200 a barrel, it will erase trillions of dollars of wealth in the United States. So sending $500 billion, to Ukraine over a year or two is the right decision. Yeah. But I don't think people want war, because I don't think Putin's going to stop. And if other countries were to attack them, then I think we can get to global thermonuclear war. Something I don't want to think about. Yeah. But it is awful what's happening. Yeah. And it bothers me that certain countries don't have an embargo on them as well. And I'm sure what's going to happen is the United States government is going to pressure those governments to cut off Russia completely. Yeah, I think that's what's coming next. Yeah. Next up, Akshay wrote, "I'd like to thank you. I've developed an interest again in finance. Awesome. Tough, but it's worth it. I hope I become at least one quarter of you. Oh, thank you. And how can I score a job in finance as a fresher and no prior experiences?" Thank you very much for those kind words. I've made every mistake in the world there is to make. That's why I teach based on my mistakes. So I think the best way, it's kind of like my generic answer for everything, is to network aggressively. And what you can do actually, if you want to learn how to network to get a job or anything you want in life, ugly guy there, eh? You can go to my website, which is harounmba.com. And then when you're here, just scroll down and there's a book right here. You can download this book for free. It's a couple hundred pages with several hours of YouTube videos I created for you. I go into much more detail on networking, of course, and how to score that big job in my MBA degree program. And as I mentioned earlier, one of this year's platinum students in my MBA program just got a job in investment banking at Goldman Sachs in New York at the associate level. Yeah, it's great. I'm proud of him. All right. Thank you, Akshay. God bless you. Next up, Ray Manning wrote, "For career planning and frustration, remember," and you wrote this in quotes, "Beware the quiet man, for while others speak, he watches. And while others act, he plans. And when they finally rest, he strikes." Yeah. And that kind of reminds me, like anybody starting a new job in a new company, I know you want to be proactive on day one, but I don't want you to be. And here's why. What I want you to do when you start a new company or new department is for the first couple of weeks, I want you to observe how the system works before you strike or you act. And the reason is because the way things get done in different departments is quite different corporate culture-wise in different companies. I just want you to observe the system, how it works before you make your stake. And in the first 2 weeks you have in a new job, I want you to network a lot with everybody and get mentors from especially the assistants. The reason I say that is because assistants have worked for their boss for many, many years, probably at many different companies. And they can be your advocate and help you get stuff done. And it's the right thing to do as well. Observe how the system works first. Yeah. That way you don't ruffle any feathers. And the reason I say network aggressively in the first 2 weeks is because of this. Remember your first year of high school or your first year in university. Those friends you made in the first 2 weeks, you're still friends with today. And when you join a company or a new department in a company, you're the new kid in town. So for the first 2 weeks, observe how the system works and set up a lot of informational and mentoring meetings. Okay. All right. King of Dreams, thank you. It looks like a bunch of people have joined the 99 cents thing. Thank you. Awesome. It's good to see your emoji there as well. Again, if anybody's interested on getting 5 of my courses for 99 cents, what you can do is go to my YouTube channel. Okay. My channel. And then when you're here, click here on join. And then you can choose here, get 5 free courses and more. And there's 3 different versions of it. 5 free courses for 99 cents per month. And you get emojis as well. And so if you've been a member for 1 month, you have the green emoji, 2 months, the blue one, yada, yada, yada. It looks like King of Dreams. Excellent. Thank you. Good to see you. And I like your emoji. So in this SKU here for my YouTube channel, the 5 free courses are an entire MBA in 1 course. Also, how to get your dream job, how to sell anything, and I included this new book of mine in that course as well as my complete personal finance course and my complete YouTube course. So that's 99 cents a month, cancel anytime. Then this one here is you get everything in this bucket, plus you get all 25 of my courses and every course that I'm going to make in the future as well, not including my MBA degree. This one here, the third bucket, you get buckets 1 and 2. Plus, you are a member, you get my Haroun MBA degree program, which includes an hour of Zoom meetings every single week as well, and a bunch of other benefits. Again, cancel anytime. Thank you. All right. All right. All right. Next up, I've got Akshay wrote, how do you become handsome and attractive like you? No, dude. Okay. The reason I don't have a camera at the side is because this is huge. It's huge. Big noses are not attractive. But because it's so damn big, I could beat anybody in a bike race or running or skiing because this thing is so damn aerodynamic. Yeah. Thank you. In terms of my clothes, I always have Lululemon pants on, the exact same ones. I got the exact same model, a bunch of them, if I can clean them. But I'm grown up here above, yeah. But I'm really 7.5. Yeah. Okay. But whenever you're doing these calls, guys, and a lot of people, I'm going to show you how to look better on camera. And I'm going to show you this right now. And you could say, maybe he's beautiful. Maybe it's Maybelline. But what you have to do is you get this stuff here. And because you're shiny. And all actors and people on television, on the news, etc., makeup artists will come in. And they'll get rid of the shine. So I'm going to get rid of the shine in my nose so it looks smaller. There you go. But you got to get this stuff as well. And the way to do it is just go to, especially you do Zoom calls, okay? The way to do it is you go to a drugstore and you ask them to get powder that matches the color of your face. I didn't know that. Then you can get a brush. My wife got this from me from a place called Sephora. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next up, Curtis wrote, hey, Chris, with the increased interest in cryptocurrencies and input from politicians, including the president, do you think a FedCoin could surface? If so, how might it affect the crypto space? Yeah. I mean, I don't think the United States dollar, for example, is going anywhere. But I do believe that they will find a way to make it more secure and more digital. And the reality is that, you know, most of us never touch money every day, in the United States at least. We use credit cards, so it's already digital. So maybe there's a way to make it more secure. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it'll be a good investment because governments can create as much of this stuff as they want to, which is why cash has always been trash. And the reason why the Roman Empire fell was because they made too much currency. And when I went to Israel with my family in 2017, I went to Jerusalem and I bought a coin from the year 30 AD with Pontius Pilate on it. And you're like, oh my God, it must have cost a lot of money, Chris. It cost next to nothing because they made way too much of it. And through all the excavations going on in Israel every day, they always find more of it. Okay, good. Joe joined as well. Great, Joe. It's great to have you. Welcome to the welcome to the club. I love your new icon as well. Very cool. Thank you. All right. Moving on to Mohammed, who wrote, "Hi, Chris. Hey, Mohammed. How do you write a follow-up email for a position I applied for and did not get a response?" Yeah. So what I recommend doing is think about what you talked about during the meeting. Okay. And let's say that you talked about, I don't know, Ethereum, just for, bonding chit chat. And you had something intelligent to say about it, or there's an article in the Wall Street Journal on it. You can forward it to that person. You could say something like this. John, hope all is well. I enjoyed our meeting last month. When we spoke about Ethereum, this is what I was referring to per this attached article. Thanks. And they'll know. They're like, oh, yeah, I should check with HR and get back to this person. And if you don't get the job, I recommend doing this. Don't email them and ask them why. Call them, okay? Get them live and ask for feedback. They owe that to you. The reason I say don't email is because they want to be careful for whatever political reason, not to put something in text, yeah. All right. But I got to say, like, a lot of my best contacts in business I've gotten through interviewing when I didn't get the job. But I got to network a lot. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Akshay wrote, "Dear Mr. Haroun," Chris, please, "can you give your thoughts and comments on the Indian economy or market? How is it doing?" Yeah. I mean, globally, it's rough for everybody. I don't have the exact statistics, but I'm incredibly bullish on India longer term because it's the world's biggest democracy. Yeah. I'm a fan longer term. Yeah. With respect to what's happening with the non-embargo decision, unfortunately, I think there's going to be pressure between the United States government eventually and other trading partners of theirs when it comes to not embargoing everything. Yeah. Hopefully it's not too much tension. Yeah. Moving on to Curtis, who wrote, "If a business is looking to land a B2B contract, would you recommend utilizing the templates provided in your awesome, thank you, MBA program to help you get it done? And how would you go about it?" Yeah. So in semester 3, where we do the venture capital boot camp, I provide with a lot of templates. And there are certain templates that are 10 pages. It's kind of like an executive summary of your business plan. I would use that to articulate your business model. More importantly, though, I would use the networking and bonding techniques I teach in the personal growth section in the first semester of the MBA program to add value to these people when you meet with them. And just understand that in business, people are always motivated by 3 things. Number 1, they want to make more money. Number 2, they want to save more money. And number 3, they want to enjoy what they do. And so I provide you with 12 templates that help you with these first 2, make more money or get promoted faster. Yeah. And you bring those templates to the meeting to help them as well. And I go into a lot more detail on that in the personal growth session. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, JW wrote, "Chris, thanks to your channel over the years. My pleasure. Thank you for putting up with me for so long. 189 weeks. It's cray. Yeah. You wrote, I'm making the switch professionally to follow my passion, as Mark Twain would say, the second most important day of my life. I love it. And congratulations. And if I can humbly help you in any way, just let me know by asking questions here. You don't have to take my courses. I want to humbly help no matter what. And that quote you're referring to, I love, which is this. And I start a lot of my speeches when I do keynotes with this. I get up on the stage. I walk around. I always have my headset thing on. And I say this. The 2 most important days in your life are number 1, the day you're born, and number 2, the day you find out why. And in my MBA program, what I do is I expose you to tons of different types of careers. So think of me as your humble waiter, okay? And this is where I proposed to my wife, Christine, in Paris. She said yes for some reason. But a waiter shows you all the items on the menu. You only pick 1 or 2 things, but you're exposed to everything. And so in my MBA program, I expose you to tons of different careers and ways of doing business. And you can pick and choose which one you want to follow, what path you want to follow. And if you're my platinum program, and the next platinum program starts September 30th, we're sold out for the June one. But in the platinum program, I'll even create your entire LinkedIn profile with you as we do one-on-one meetings. Yeah. Moving on to Shivant, who wrote, what do you think about the statement under Trump's administration? The United States Trade Representative, USTR office, has declared India as a developed economy. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty large economy. I don't think it's undeveloped. I don't think it's second or third world. I think it's first world. Yeah. And I know there's pockets of poverty in every single country. But I think that India is the most important trading partner with the United States longer term, because it is the world's biggest democracy. And again, I do think there's going to be a little bit of pressure back and forth between U.S. government and India when it comes to not entirely cutting off Russia. Yeah, I'm a fan. Okay, Sunder wrote, how is your health now? May Christ's body relieve your spirit. Thank you. God bless you for that. Yeah. It's perfect. I feel great. I feel amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. It's good to be back. Yeah. Moving on to Adiposi, who's from Nigeria, who's in my platinum program. Great to see you. And he had this great quote on June 1st. He told me, he said, with pain, you find your purpose. I love that. So Adiposi is an architect from Nigeria, really smart guy. He wrote, hi, Chris, good to see you today. And it was wonderful chatting with you yesterday over Zoom as well. I hope you join again today at 11:20. Yeah. Moving on to Dowd, who wrote, what does a recession look like in today's everyday life for different people in terms of riches, especially the average family guy? I mean, everybody's going to be impacted. Everybody's going to be impacted. The problem is this. The reason I think it's going to get severe is because inflation in many parts of the world is 10%. Have you gotten a raise of 10% in the past year? No. So it's problematic. It's problematic, yeah. And I think that we would have had a soft landing, meaning the economy would have done a lot better, of course, if it wasn't for Russia. But I think the Fed interest rate cuts during COVID were brilliant in hindsight. Yeah. Okay. And then Adiposi wrote, just curious, why do you periodically open the door of your studio? Is it something to do with the air conditioning? I always enjoy the garden view, though. I just do it to kind of mix things up as well. And sunlight's important, vitamin D, to keep you happy. And actually, I have up here, it's a product called Morocco. It's pretty cheap, but it kind of mimics sunlight as well. So I have that on sometimes as well, because without sunlight, without vitamin D, you're not happy. And that's why your mom or dad, when you're watching TV at night, they turn the lights on, I think, as well. Yeah. Don't stay in a dark room. You'll be unhappy. Yeah. All right. But I have to change the exposure as well. Yeah. So I'll give you guys a quick little tutorial here in exposure. So the human eye has no idea what the right exposure is when it comes to videos. So I've got this thing here. I'll make this teachable moment, and I'm going to lower the ISO as well. I'll show you on screen what I'm seeing. Okay. So you see this here. There's too much green there. You want the green on your face to be just under 80. See in the middle there, the Ghostbusters thing, right there. So what I'll do is I'll lower the ISO. Okay, good. A little bit darker. Yeah, it's tough with the glare from outdoors, but keeping it real. Let me turn that off. Ghostbusters. Okay. All right, next up, we've got Rita, who wrote, Chris, I totally agree with you. As I started my company in 1990 during the recession. Yeah, the best time to start a company is during recession. Again, you have less competition and you're running scared, man. You're running scared. And that's why it always makes sense for everybody to live below their means. Always, always, always. Be cheap, always. And if you grew up in a recessionary environment, you're a better business person. Okay. Next up, Mark, who goes by Satones. He's from the Motor City, from Detroit. He's my brother from another mother. It's always great to see you, buddy. And thank you so much for the advice you gave me a couple weeks ago to put tons of vitamin C tablets in here to get rid of COVID. It worked. It worked. It's great to see you. And so Mark wrote, hey, brother, glad to see you rocking and doing well. Thank you. Then he wrote, if you're over 70, can you switch your stocks over to an IRA? Yeah, I'm not sure. And the tax code changes every now and then. I think the max is about $6,000 per year. It all depends on whether or not you have your own company. There's many other stipulations that's above my pay grade. Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you that have heard the term Roth IRA or IRA and you're not sure exactly what that means. So the way it works is this. There's retirement savings. I'm just going to rebalance here. Got to get this in my face closer to 80. Hold on a second. The way it works, there we go. That's better. Okay. The way it works is you can save money if you want to every year, about 20 grand worth in your 401k. Okay. And that's tax deferred, meaning you take the money, you pay taxes when you take the money out years from now when it's worth a lot more. Or you can put about $6,000 into your Roth IRA, but you pay taxes first. And the reason you do that is if you think your tax bracket's going to be way higher in the future. And Peter Thiel did this as well. Peter Thiel was the first investor in Facebook. He was also one of the big investors in Palantir and other companies. He was a co-founder of PayPal. What Peter Thiel did, and he's a billionaire, is he took his shares in PayPal and his shares in Palantir, and he put them into his Roth IRA at like 0.00001 cent, right? And he paid taxes first. And in his Roth IRA, $6,000 maximum per year, that's worth between $5 and $10 billion for him now. Yeah. And that's controversial because if you're the sole founder, or if you're a founder of a company, you're not allowed to do that. But he was kind of like the co-founder. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not fair because in the United States, the richest tax bracket is close to 40%. But the 400 wealthiest families in America only pay about 22% tax annually. It's not fair. I think there should be a tax on billionaires, although I'm a capitalist. Yeah, it's not fair at all. In fact, in 2007, Jeff Bezos, when he was already a billionaire many times over, in 2007, not only did Jeff Bezos not pay any tax, but he also got $16,000 on his tax return refund because he has 4 kids, 4 dependents at $4 grand each. And so the way the tax code works is you only pay taxes when there's a taxable event, like you're paid a salary or you sell shares in a stock. And he didn't sell any shares that year. Yeah, it's not fair. And even Warren Buffett has publicly disclosed that his assistant pays more taxes percent-wise than he does, and it's just not fair. Yeah, that's what the rich people do, though, is they hire these tax attorneys offshore. Yeah, move their money offshore. And then Rose, who is great to see you. Rose is from the great state of Virginia. She was in my first year class. We're starting our 5th year class in September on Fridays. She wrote, congratulations to your student for getting a job at Goldman Sachs. Yeah, no, I'm very, very proud. Yeah, and humbled too. It works, humbly. My MBA program works. And what you pay for my MBA program, it's on sale for $499 now. Just go to harounmba.com. But what you pay for it is literally the cost of 1 hour to go to a traditional business school. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Yeah, my students inspire me so much. And King of Dreams, thanks again for subscribing there. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, next up, Mark wrote here. Give me a second. Mark wrote, I met the owner of Superbest. Can you look them up on PitchBook? I believe they're a VC firm. Can you let me know? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, why don't we do this? During office, the gold and platinum office hours, let's get on Zoom. And I'll go through everything for you, and we can go back and forth a lot more. It'd be easier that way. Now, the most important thing you want to look at, though, for VC firms is you look at the partners at the firm, and you trace to see which investments or companies they invest in before. Okay. All right, next up, Carrie Ann wrote, I'm not seeing where to access the 99-cent option. Yeah, so all you do to get 5 of my best-selling courses for 99 cents is you go here to my website, okay? Or you go here to YouTube, okay? And then I think you have to subscribe to the channel, then click here on join. So like and subscribe, everyone, if you want. You click here on join, and then here for 99 cents, you get those 5 courses. Or you get all my courses for $25 per month, or $29 per month, or my MBA degree product and everything else I've ever made and will make for $99 a month. Cancel anytime. And this product here also includes 1 hour of weekly Zoom in a small group setting. Yeah. And if you have additional questions about that, please let me know. Thanks. All right. And I am moving to a subscription offering as well. Yeah, I'll still sell my courses as is, but my subscription business is growing quite a bit, and that's what I want to transition to longer term. So you'll always get the option to buy my stuff or subscribe. Yeah, and I'll have more details on that in coming weeks for you. Yeah. Okay. And Joe, thank you so much for joining for the 99-cent thing you did there. Thank you. I see some of them. I'm not sure if I see all of them. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the report after today's webcast, though. Thank you. Okay. And Sadiq wrote, "Hey Chris, how have you been? Amazing, thank you. Again, I beat COVID, thank God. Feeling better." Yeah. And you wrote, "It's been a while. I've been trying to figure things out, learning new stuff at the bank, enjoying the role so far, especially the part where I have to research and understand the business of prospective borrowers. Understanding and learning about new business is fun. I agree completely. And please use my templates, my MBA program, if you want to help you do your due diligence on companies. Thanks." Okay. Next up, we have the Cyber Sam, who wrote, "What is needed to be mentored by you personally?" Yeah. No, thank you. So in my, I can always answer questions here forever for free forever, please. But if you go here to HarounMBA.com and you scroll down, you'll see the Platinum program right here. And the next Platinum program starts on September 30th. That's a Friday. We're sold out for the June Platinum program right now, and you can't upgrade from gold to Platinum once you start. But I would sign up for this one here, because here you get starting September 30th. You're going to get 9 one-on-one meetings with me on Zoom, all confidential stuff, career coaching, etc. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we have Peter from Romania. How are you? Who's a big soccer fan or football fan, the real football. He wrote, "Hey Chris, yesterday was my name day, and in 2007, Apple launched the iPhone on the same day. I remember that well, man. I was at the Detroit Auto Show. So Tons, you'll love this. I was at the Detroit Auto Show, and it was in January 2007. And I was there, obviously, looking at cyclical companies to invest in, like Hyundai, which is trading at less than 1 times book at the time. And I watched Steve Jobs' keynote from my hotel room. And I told my boss, Carson Levitt, I was like, we got to back up the truck. This is a game changer. Yeah. So you wrote, Apple launched the iPhone on the same day as when you were born. Very, very cool. Is that right? 2007? 17, 27. No, on your birthday, not when you were born. You're older than that. Yeah. You're 20, I think. Yeah. And then you wrote, I know you like Apple, and you told us everything about it, but what do you think about complicated versus simple company names? Thanks a lot and have a great day. Great question. Thank you. And I got to wrap this up soon, guys. Sorry. Less is more, always. Always. Simple design works best. When I was younger, we used to read instruction manuals, and we used to hit the F1 key for help. If you can't figure it out right away, then it's kind of a loser product. Yeah. And so, Steve Jobs was brilliant, God bless him, at simplistic design, right? There was one button on this when he passed away. Less is more, always. And when you're making your business plan to try to raise money, and I'll show you this quickly, what I want you to do is I want you to use Airbnb as an example. So let's go to Airbnb pitch deck right here. So Airbnb, their pitch deck was really simplistic. It was like 12 slides. Okay, I recommend 10. And they use Steve Jobs' power of 3 methodology. Let me explain that. So all great pictures, there's the rule of thirds. There's 3 different lines in it. Like, for example, great pictures of the beach and the ocean. One part of it is the sand, then the ocean and the sky. The rule of thirds. The same thing when it comes to presentations. 3 bullet points, 1, 2, 3. 3 images, 1, 2, 3. 3 statistics, 1, 2, 3, etc. Business model, 1, 2, 3. So make it simplistic. Less is more, always. And I teach this to you in my MBA degree program on how to raise money. And I've humbly raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. I've made lots of mistakes, but I want to humbly help you. So in the 3rd semester, we do the venture capital boot camp. Yeah, and I teach how to raise money as well. And part of it is creating slides similar or commensurate to what I showed you just now with Airbnb. Yeah, less is more. Yeah, simplicity works. Yeah, and so I think a simple name works well. Yeah, always. All right. Next up, JW wrote, your courses have been amazing. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm moving from oil and gas. Networking helped me a lot in the private wealth management space. Awesome. It's awesome. And PWM, it's the only finance job you can get where you can actually take your clients with you and move somewhere else. And so you'll find that in the private wealth management business, a lot of these high-profile PWM managers, and every year Barron's does a list of the top 50. They go from bank to bank to bank for 2-year guarantees. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for that. Yeah. Networking is important, especially when you're managing people's money. All right, moving on to Shavant, who wrote, you also said in the start that one person on the call would get your on-demand MBA for free. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to choose it now, and then I'm going to wrap up this call. I apologize. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. It helps my channel a lot. Please click the like button. And now I will select one person to get my silver MBA degree program for free. And it's got to be somebody that hasn't signed up for my MBA. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to just scroll quickly through the screen, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it just to keep it fair for everybody here. All right, and I'll show you behind the scenes too. All right, so I'm going to go to my YouTube channel here. And I'm going to go here to live. Okay, and here's what I see, and I'm going to wrap up this call now. Okay, so right here, view in live control room. Then I'm going to randomly pick one person, and I'll show you how in a second. So here's all the chat here, and I mentioned you have to ask a question, right? It's got to be a question in order to win it. So here's what I'll do. So here's all the names here. I'm going to go by live chat, and I am going to scroll through this, and whoever's name I stop on, if it was a question, you win. But you couldn't have bought the MBA in the past. So here I go. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm highlighting one line, I think. Akshay, you win. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, Akshay, please email admissions@harounventures.com. And then we'll take care of sending you the Silver MBA degree program for free. So congratulations. I hope you guys all enjoyed this webcast. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all next week and every week forever. It's so good to be back. It's so good to get rid of my chair in the office. It's good not to have COVID anymore. Thank you all for your time. I love you guys. I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. And if you're in my gold and platinum program, I'll see you today for 2-hour office hours starting at 11:20, and then we'll do one-on-ones after that. Thank you very much, everybody, and God bless you. Thanks.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.